Hello YouTube, today I'm gonna be doing a tier list for mid lane Fiddlesticks matchups. I'm just gonna go in the order as it's here, I guess. Renekton is not played mid lane often. I'd say it's a skill matchup because in top lane it's pretty tough, but in mid lane it's like a way shorter lane, so he's gonna struggle to kill you. Morgana is also not played a lot, so she's probably hard though, because she can just wave clear and she has Black Shield. So it's gonna be really hard to kill her. Vel'Koz is hard. I mean, this is gonna be a theme you're gonna be seeing throughout the video. Most ranged mages are gonna be like hard or in the worst tier. Kassadin is a skill matchup, I would say, because you can bully him really hard in early game. Unless if he goes Fleet Footwork, Dawn Shield, Second Wind, then you can't poke him at all. But if he doesn't go that, and most of the time they don't, you can just outpoke him in lane. You can like force him out of lane really early, and then after 6 it's Kassadin favored. But you can still make his life hell in team fights, so it's like, I would say it's a skill matchup. Or you could put it hard. I would put it here. Jace is a skill matchup. He scales really well, but if you get an ult off on him, he's usually just one shot. So I think it's a pretty decent matchup, but if he gets to 2-3 items, he's gonna like outpoke you so hard. Nyla, I've never seen a Nyla mid, but I'd imagine it's an easy matchup. Just cause she's like really low range, she's no CC, she has to go into you so you can just drain. So this should be a pretty easy matchup. Pyke, I'd put Pyke in skill matchup. He can roam a lot, and he also has like a lot of CC, so you can't get your drain off. But you can shut him down really hard later on, and you outscale him massively, so I would put him in skill matchup. Jarvan, well, no one really plays Jarvan mid, but I'd put him in easy. I mean, he has like, if he EQs in on you, you can just fear and drain him, so he can't really go in on you. Zyra is probably, I'd put her in easy actually, just cause she has like really bad wave clear, and she's no mobility at all. If you ever get an ult on her, she's just gonna be one shot. Ryze is either hard or how can play tier. I'm not sure where to put him. I would put him here actually. This guy is extremely tanky. It's like you can't kill this guy if he gets like 1 or 2 items. He has insane wave clear. He has range. He can build mercs, so he's basically extremely hard to play against. It's just that like no one plays him, so you're gonna be fine. Lux in hard tier, she's the same as Vel'Koz. She outranges you, has good wave clear. But if you ever get like an ult on these two, they're probably gonna be one shot. But they also take barrier a lot of the time, so it's like even harder to kill them. Karthus, I would put in probably a skill matchup. He's not as hard as these three, but he does have like a lot of range, and he can wave clear pretty well. But you can ult him and he will die really easily. Just like his scaling is really insane, but you can build Banshees and Zhonya's. Galio, probably an easy. Yeah, I would put him in easy. I mean, he has a lot of CC, so you can't really drain him, but you can poke him really hard, and he's not that useful later on. So like your ult counts as ult, but he can also like ult his teammates when you ult him. Actually, maybe I should put him skill matchup, I think. But you need to like run the right runes. You should only go for like poke. If he gets an E off on you and like his full combo, he's gonna outtrain you pretty hard. So I think it's a skill matchup. And his ult can be like really annoying. I think whoever like ults first loses. And Gangplank, Gangplank is probably in skill matchup. I mean, in early games, like in early levels, you win pretty hard, but like once he gets 1 or 2 items, he does insane amounts of damage. And usually they run first strike, so they're gonna be like really rich, really fast. So he's gonna outscale you, and he can also like double your fear and your silence. So yeah, I would put in skill matchup. Talia, I guess she's hard tier, or she's skill matchup. I'm not sure. I think she has a like good wave clear. I would put it in skill matchup actually. She has good wave clear, but she can't poke you as hard. You can like follow up on her roams. You can ult her pretty easily and then one-shot her. So I would put her in this tier. Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa is easy because you can kill her pretty easily if you ever get an ult off on her. She doesn't have like that crazy wave clear unless she goes static. Cassio is a skill matchup. You have to dodge your Qs. If you get hit by a Q, you're gonna get out-traded, but you can also get your drain off. You can QW her, and then when your drain ends, you silence her, you run away, and she can't like Q you, so she can't really chase. She doesn't have boots, so you can like ult on her, and she can't really run away unless she hits her Q. I would put her here, yeah. Zoe is also... I guess I would put her in skill matchup. Her wave clear is not that great. She has like a lot of early game damage with Ignite, and if she picks up like summoners. But if you ever get an ult on her, she's just dead. So, and she can also, when she like ults forward, you can Q her sometimes and she gets feared even when she jumps back. So I would put her here. Asol, I would put him in easy, even an easier skill matchup. I mean, he has like massive scaling, right? But you can, first of all, his E doesn't interrupt your drain, which is like huge. You can cancel his W with your Q or your E, and yeah, you can like once you get your ult on him, he's probably like one shot. It's just like if he ever gets to 3 items, he's just gonna like be a huge problem. But you shouldn't let him get to these 3 items. You can like kill him in lane quite easily. Varus is probably the same as Kai'Sa. Like he has bad wave clear. He does deal a lot of damage when he gets like his ult on you. But like if you ever ult these guys first, you will just one-shot them, and it's pretty easy. Corki is probably also easy tier. Like, same reasoning. You can poke him, out-poke him in lane really hard. He's really weak. He needs like 2 to 3 items to come online. So before that, it's pretty easy to kill these guys. Zed, I would put in free tier. It's probably like the best matchup you have, or for sure like top 3 best matchup MIDLANE has. Just because you can like every time he walks up, you can E him or you can W him. You can just do whatever you want in lane. He can't play the game against you. Can poke him the entire lane. The only way he ever kills you is like if he gets to like 2-3 items, and then maybe he gets poke on you. But even then, you're gonna build Sonya second, so in this matchup, and then it's gonna be like extremely hard for him to deal with you. Cho'Gath is a pretty bad matchup. I would put it either in hard. I think in hard, it's more playable than, for example, Ryze, but it's also like pretty tough. He has 2 spells that can interrupt you, so you wanna be maxing Q in this matchup. You can put a 3 points W on that max Q. He's extremely like hard to poke because of his passive. He heals a lot. He has pretty decent wave clear with his spells. Yeah, but I would say he's hard. Yeah. Malphite isn't easy for sure. You can just poke him. He can like he has to walk up for minions, so you can just W in his face. Yeah, he can't really do much in lane. You can like one-shot him even if he's in early game, if he doesn't have MR yet. And later on, you can just wait and like you can wait in the fog of war, and when he ults in, you just counter ult, and it's pretty good. Yone is, I would say, skill matchup. Like a really good Yone is a complete nightmare for you, but there are almost no good Yones, so. And I think the bad ones you can abuse pretty hard, especially because it's like a short lane, so he can't like run you down as hard as he can on top lane. If you get an ult off on him first, he will probably die if you run Ignite. The Fury is for sure a free matchup. She's like same as Zed, she has to walk up. You can't really do anything in lane. You outpoke her. If she ever jumps in on you, you can just Q and W her. And another thing is that your drain kills her dogs and you heal off them. So she's basically self-countering because her dogs give you healing and you kill them instantly with your W. She can't really... You can also interrupt her W channel with your E, which is pretty funny. Sometimes they like W, you can eat them and they get interrupted. And yeah, I mean, if she ever W's her teammate, you can just fear her. She can't play the game, even if they go mercs. Vladimir is easy. I mean, you can poke him really hard. And then another thing is that most Vladimirs don't know. You can, if you W him before he goes into pool and then he goes into pool, it will still drain him through the pool. So most Vladimirs, like, they try to W when they're like really low, but they don't know about this interaction, so they will like get drained even though they pooled. I mean, yeah, just run Ignite, and if you ever get an ult on him off, he's probably gonna get one shot. Talon is free. Same, I mean, every AD assassin is gonna be in this tier, because you just counter them so hard. It's same as that in a Fury. You can just outpoke them. He can't ever go in on you. If he goes in on you and you run bone plating, you will take like a lot less damage. You can just QW them and then they're gonna be losing the trade hard. Also, like, your W reveals him when he's on ult. That's one thing to keep in mind. I mean, yeah, just be careful when like he can just run around the map and roam. But even then, it's fine. Even if he gets like 2-3 kills, you can still kill him. Vex is, I would say, an easy matchup. Easy to skill matchup. I'm not sure. I mean, she's like fine wave clear, and her ult is good, but she needs to see you, and you can build banshees, and she's like, she can't ult you ever. So I would say she's an easy tier, and if you get an ult off on her, she's just one shot. Syndra is for sure in this tier. You can, like, she outscales you, she outranges you, she outpokes you. If you ever like drain the wave, she's just gonna QE your face. She does like way more damage. I mean, the only way you can kill her is like if you get an ult off from Fog of War. It's the only way you can ever punish her. But even then, she outscales you quite hard. So I don't know, this is like one of my bans. I would ban her probably, or Azir. Azir is also like in this tier. He can just poke you the entire lane. You can't ever kill this guy because he has his dash away. He can ult you away. Actually, I would put Syndra one tier lower just because she has no mobility. So if she fucks up, you kill her. But these two, like, you can't ever kill them. This guy is too tanky, and Azir can just ult you away and then E away. Ziggs, same, like every artillery mage is basically in this tier. Same as Vel'Koz and Lux, outranges you, outpokes you, but has like only his W's mobility. So if you get an ult off on him, he probably dies. Lissandra, I would say it's a skill matchup. She, like, her wave clear is pretty meh. She doesn't poke you hard. She has a lot of burst damage though, and she has a lot of CC, which is annoying on her ult and her Everfrost and W. And you can't really one-shot her that well, because they usually go mercs, and then when you ult them, they don't get one-shot and they ult themselves. So I would put her in skill matchup, but you out-impact her later on in the game for sure. Akali I would put into easy. You could also argue to put her into skill matchup. I would put her into easy. And she's a melee assassin, so you counter her. Also your W reveals her inner shroud, which is like really huge. So you can poke her really hard in the early game. After level 6 it gets a bit scary, because if she like gets an RE on you, you're probably gonna get one shot. But even then, like, if you find an ult on her, she's just gonna die, and like teamfights are super hard for her to play because of you. So I would put her in easy tier. Nautilus, yeah, same, also easy tier. Like, he's a melee champ, he has to walk up. He has a decent amount of CC, which can be annoying, but he can't ever kill you. So I would put him in this tier. Brand probably skill matchup. Or actually I would put him into easy maybe. I mean, he has decent wave clear, but his poke can easily be dodged, so he can't really poke you. And if you ever ult him, he's just one shot. So I'd probably put him in easy tier. He's just so vulnerable to ganks and like your ults. Akshan is easy to skill matchup. I would put him in skill matchup. I mean, if he ever, like, you have to hold your Q, and if you ever ease in, then you can just QW him and you out trade him. But if you ever waste your Q, he can like jump in and kill you. You can also roam a lot invisible, so that's kind of annoying. Yeah, I would put him in skill matchup. Cyan is easy for sure. You can just poke him, you can farm Versec off him. Can't really kill you. Yeah. I mean, a pretty easy matchup. Olaf. Skill match. I would put him skill matchup. I mean, Olaf, like, people think Olaf counters you really hard, but he actually doesn't. And you just have to not like get all in level 1. And then once you're level 3, you can like win trades really hard. And you have to run Ignite in this matchup 100%. And if he ever, like, you can kill him easily pre-6 if he fucks up. So, and then after 6, whoever ults first wins usually. So if you ult him first, you ignite him, then you're just gonna kill him. Even if he ults and starts hitting you, you still should be able to out damage him. It's just if he gets like a lot of MR, then you're gonna be in trouble. But before that, it's really easy. And then like at 2-3 items, he's like really tanky, so it can be kind of hard. Pantheon is another skill matchup, I would say. I mean, he has like insane damage, right? But you can rush Seeker's Armgate against this guy. You can also go exhaust if you want. If you get an ult off on him, he's gonna be like really low, but usually what happens is you ult him, he's gonna be like 20% HP, and then he gets his E off, so he can just run away, which is quite annoying. But other than that, like later on in the game, if he ever ults in, you can just Q him when he lands and he gets killed. I mean, it's really hard for him to play teamfights against you, so I would put him in this tier. Swain, I would probably put Swain in hard. He has like, you can't really kill him in lane. He has like a lot of sustain, and he's pretty hard to poke out of lane. And then later on, you can't really kill this guy with ult. So like, he's so tanky that even if you ult him, he doesn't die, and then he can pop his ult and he will out heal you. I mean, you can kill him early game At like level 6, if you get an ult off and you can ignite him, then he dies. But I mean, he just kind of counters you, because later on in team fights, if you don't one-shot him, he's gonna pop his ult and it's gonna be like really, really awful to deal with. And he's really tanky, so I would put him in this tier. Malzahar, I would put Malzahar into easy tier. His wave clear is meh. You can drain his crabs that he spawns. His spell shield is not that good against you. Like when you ult him, his spell shield gets popped immediately, so that's pretty meh. You can buffer your E, so you can cancel his ult if you're really good, but that I think that's more like a luck thing. You can't really like purposely do this. But if you ever get an ult off on him, he should die. So I would put him in this tier. Lulu is probably easy. She has like really bad wave clear. If you ult her, she's gonna die. Her poke is decent, but you can out heal her and then poke her back with E. So yeah, I would put her in this tier, and you also like counter her really hard later on in team fights, because you can Q and E her and she can't get her spells off. Karma. I would put her in the same tier as Lulu, to be honest. She pokes you pretty hard in early game, but you can heal back, you can poke against her, and if you ever get an ult of her, she just gets one shot. Annie, probably not hard tier, I would say. You deal, like, she can stun you, which is really annoying. She outranges you pretty heavily. So if you ever drain the wave, she's probably just gonna stun you. She has a lot of burst damage, she can like one-shot you. So you definitely have to go Banshee second or third against her. And then it might be better. But yeah. And also her E is really annoying because it gives her a lot of movement speed. I would put her either in hard tier or skill matchup. I mean, there's not a lot of any players, so I would probably put in skill matchup. But like really good ones, they would be hard to play against. Katarina is free. She's like every other assassin. She has to walk up. You can just poke her. You can W her. If she ever jumps in on you, you out-trade her. If you ever get an ult off on her, she dies. Or she gets really low, and later in team fights you can fear and silence her, so she can't really play the game against you. The only way you can lose this matchup is if they run Conqueror and Doran's Blade and Ignite. Then if you make a mistake in lane, she can run you down with Conqueror and like out-trade you and kill you. But if you know how the matchup goes, this shouldn't happen to you. And like the only way she ever becomes a problem is if she gets to like 4 items and she goes to Bruiser build. Then it could become hard to kill her with like Divine Sunder and Mercs and whatever they build. So, but like she should never get to that point to begin with. If she gets to that point, you fucked up your lane really hard. LeBlanc, I would say it's either skill matchup or hard. I would put her into skill matchup. So into LeBlanc, it's like you can buffer your Q when she W's in. She gets interrupted, you can get your full drain off. Your W also reveals her, like when she goes into her passive, when she spawns her clone. But with the new build with static, and like she has a lot of AD, she's gonna auto you. She can like slowly poke you down. If she's really good, she can like slowly poke you down. But most LeBlancs are bad, so I would put into skill matchup. Fiddlesticks, well, that's free, because I don't play normal games. You don't play normal games, so you're not supposed to see this guy ever. Yasuo, in top lane he would be hard or skill matchup. But in mid lane, yeah, I would put him into skill matchup. Like I think he's way worse for you on top lane. On mid lane he's fine. You can like take short trades against him. You can poke him, and you can go 3 points W into Q max, and then like whenever he dashes in, you can just Q him, and then you W him. And also when he dashes in on you, and he has his nade already, and he hits the nade, you can E him right before it hits, and then he can't get his ult off. Or you can also do that with your Q, so you can like buffer your CC so he can't get his ult off. In team fights, you're like a really big problem for him because of your CC. If you ever get an ult off on him, he should probably die or at least get really low. So I would put it into skill matchup. But if he's like really good and he can like build up a freeze and run you down, then you're gonna be in trouble. Nico in hard. Or actually, I would put her into skill matchup. I mean, she has like really annoying poke, and like her Q does like an insane amount of damage. But if you don't get hit by her E, you should like be fine. You can't just really drain the wave because she's just gonna hit you in the face with spells. So you might have to go Emax into a matchup like this and then just try to poke her. And then later on, like if she ever sneaks up as a minion, you can drain her and it reveals her, or you can silence her and it reveals her as well. And you can just ult her later on. If she ever goes in first and ults your team, you can like counter ult her, which is pretty nice. Yeah, Ari is for sure in this tier. Can't really kill her ever because she always gets her ult off before you kill her. Pokes you, outpokes you, outranges you, outwave clears you. Basically, you can't ever kill this. Your only hope is that she's like not good, and then you can like get an ult off on her in team fights, and she gets one shot with your team. Ori, a hard tier. So, like she can poke you pretty hard, but she has no mobility at all. So if you get an ult off on her, she dies. She's pretty annoying in lane, but later on she's fine to play against. And Nivea, also in the same tier. She's like similar to Ziggs, Vel'Koz, and Lux, where she can just wave clear, she can just hang back, and she has her egg, which is really annoying. So even if you kill her with your ult, she still has her egg, and for some reason when you W her when she's alive and then she goes into egg, your W doesn't continue damaging her. I don't know why that happens, but yeah, that's the thing. So it's pretty tough to kill her, but if you ever get an ult off on her later in like team fights or like with ganks, she's just gonna die 100%. So I'll put her into hard tier. Nunu, easy. I mean, he has to walk up. He's a melee champ. His only CC is his W, and if he snowballs in and you hit your silence on him, it's gonna like cancel his W. Yeah, you can use your teammates as bait, and when he rolls in, you can just ult him. Veigar is hard, same reasoning as the others. He outranges you, he can like outscale you, but if you ever get an ult off on him, he's gonna die. So I'll put him into hard tier, and you can also ult over his cage, so it's not too bad. Echo, I would put him into easy, to be honest. Easy or skill match, I would put him in easy. I mean, he's like a melee assassin, but you can't kill him as easily as the other assassins. But you can like, whenever he jumps in on you, you just want to QW him, and then he can't run away before he gets his passive off. And then, I mean, you counter him later on in team fights, because you CC him for so long that he can't get his ult off. Yeah, and you can outpoke him quite hard. Zilean, I haven't played against Zilean yet, but I would imagine it's either hard or skill matchup. He's gotta be like impossible to kill in lane because of his ults, and then he's like really hard scaling, and he can wave clear pretty well. So I would put him into hard tier. Tristana, it's a skill matchup, I think. So like you can poke her pretty well, and then if you have to hold your Q. If she ever jumps in on you, you QW her. She can push towers really hard, so you can't really roam against her. And if you ever get like a if you ever die or get like a bad base off, you just lose your plates. So it's kind of annoying. But it's also like a way to counter because every Tristana will always hit the turret. So whenever she hits the turret, you can like try to ult her and kill her. The problem is that you have to one-shot her before she gets her jump off or her ult off. And then later in teamfights, I mean, she's like basically like all the other AD carries. If you get an ult off on her, she just dies unless she has cleanse or QSS. Once she gets cleanse or QSS, it's gonna be like a pretty tough matchup. Ezreal. Probably easy tier. Doesn't have any wave clear, and you can easily avoid his poke by like standing behind minions. And if you get an ult off on him, he's gonna be quite easy to kill. So I would put him into easy tier. Victor is hard because, I mean, same as the others. He outranges you, outscales you, outpokes you, but he doesn't have mobility, so you can kill him if you get an ult off on him in a team fight or like in lane. Fizz is easy. Free for he's free actually, yeah, he's free. Because well, same as the others, if he ever Qs in on you, you can W him, QW him, and he's fucked. And also it's the same with Vladimir W. If you press your W before he uses his E, it will go through his E. So and he usually wants to like QW in on you and then E out. So you like really thematically hard counter him. And then the only way he wins is if he like ults you. If you like ever get hit by his ult, you probably just get one shot. Unless you go, but then you go Zhonya second or first, and well, that completely negates it. So, or you can also go Banshees. And yeah, so you just counter this guy really hard. Same for, oh wait, this one. Kiana, also really easy. Same as the others. You want like most Kianas want to play with like their bushes and be like invisible, but your W reveals them. You can outpoke her really hard. You can perma CC her. You can get an ult off and one-shot her. If you run bone plating, it's like really hard for her to kill you because there's no way. Like against most of these champs, you want to be running dominate. No, what is it called? Well, bone plating revitalize secondary because they have like no easy way to proc it unless like. Except for a Z or maybe Talon W, but like the others they have like no way to proc it unless they like go in on you, and then you can just QW them and you outrate them really heavily. Diana, I would put her in easy tier. I mean, she's also like a melee AP assassin, but she's not as easy as Fizz, because if she just all-ins you with her ult, she like one-shots you before you can get, like you can't really ult back in response or anything. But before 6, she's like really hard countered. And if you ever ult her from Fog, she's also pretty hard countered. And then Zhonya's and Banshees counter really hard. And you want to be building Banshees and Zhonya's in like most games anyway. So she's going to be like really hard countered later on. Aurelia is a skill matchup. In top lane, she's really hard to play against, but in mid lane, it's easier. Because she has no, like, she's not as much space to run you down. If you ever fuck up against her and she gets like a freeze off, you're in a pretty bad spot. But even then you can ult her, you have to run ignite in this matchup. Then when she jumps in on you, and you can bait her a lot by like using your W on the minions, and she will try to E you, and then you can cancel your W and just dodge the E. Or you can get hit by it on purpose, and then when she jumps in on you, you can QW her and you outrate her probably if she doesn't have too many auto attack stacks. And then later on you can ult her, but you can't one-shot her because she's like too tanky. She like if they usually build mercs and they build wits end, so it's like really annoying to kill her. You usually need your jungler, so I would put it into a skill matchup. Xerath is hard, same class as the others. It's like an artillery mage. He like heavily outranges you, heavily outpokes you, and outscales you. But if you ever get an ult off on him, he's just gonna die. Well, actually, sometimes Xerath takes cleanse, and then you're gonna be like in really big trouble. But The lower in elos you are, the harder you can abuse Zeros, because they're like really bad if they're like below Master or Grandmaster. So he's gonna be hard in higher elos, but I would put him into like skill matchup if it was lower elo. Silas, it's a skill matchup. He's pretty annoying to deal with because he has like a lot of healing and his ease and all that stuff. But you can run ignite and you have to like wait with your drain until he eats you for the second time. You also shouldn't max your W into this matchup. You should put 3 points W and a Q max. You get your ult off on him, he's probably gonna die. And most Silases, they steal your ult and then they just channel the ult in your face for some reason. You can like Q or E them. And like you can really shut them down with your jungler. If you freeze the wave in front of your turret, there's like no easy way to break it, and then you can call your jungler and or even kill him yourself. And this is another bone plating matchup for sure. Gragas, we'll probably put him into easy tier. I mean, he can poke you with this Q only, like that's the only thing he can do, but if you ever ult him, he's just gonna die. I mean, I assume since it's Gragas mid, it's gonna be full AP Gragas, so he's gonna be like really squishy. And if he takes phase rush, then it's like kind of annoying to deal with, because he can just combo you and run away, but usually they don't take it. And then you can outpoke him, like you can poke him back with your E, and then usually when he goes for minions and he doesn't have Q, then you can get a full drain off on him. So I would put him into easy. Or a skill matchup, one of the two. Heimerdinger. You're actually pretty decent against Heimerdinger, because you can drain his turrets, you can poke him, and if you ult him, he just instantly gets one shot. So I would put him into easy tier as skill matchup. It's like only a problem like when he has 3 turrets and you try to kill them, and then he hits his E on you. That's like when he becomes like a huge damage threat. But other than that, I would say he's fairly easy to play against for you, just because you have like an AoE drain which can drain all of his turrets. Lucian, I would put him into easy tier. His wave clear is pretty meh. He can poke you, not really poke you, he can like dash in and Q you and get his like full combo off. But if he ever dashes in, you should like Q him and W him, and you should probably outtrade him. And then when you get an ult off, he obviously just dies. You can also cancel his ult with your silence if you manage to hit it. So I would say it's either easier skill matchup. Rumble is a skill matchup. He's like tough to play against in top lane, but in mid lane it's much more enjoyable because of how short the lane is. Also, when he uses his Q and you Q him, he's gonna like turn around, so his Q is gonna go into nothing, and you won't take the Q damage. Just be careful of his E poke. Like you have to stand behind minions to avoid his E poke, and then usually can get like an ult off on him, like when he walks up to the wave, and one shot him, or later in team fights it's the same. So I would put him into skill matchup or easy. It like really depends. If the Rumble is really good, he can destroy you, but usually it doesn't happen. So yeah, I think that's all. So thank you guys for watching the video. I hope this helped a little bit. And in the future, I'm probably gonna release more detailed guides about certain matchups. But for now, this should be like. So for now, this should be like take electrocute, and then bone plating secondary against these. You're gonna be taking combat against most of these, against most of all the remaining matchups, and like matchups where you can die and the enemy can't kill you and you can't kill the enemy. That would be like Twisted Fate, or actually I just noticed Twisted Fate isn't even here, but yeah, stuff like Twisted Fate, or who is it? Twisted Fate or Cyan or Nautilus, you just go first strike and you just scale. It's like free scaling, so it's also pretty good. Yeah, against the rest, like if you're ever in doubt, just go Comet and then secondary Ultimate Hunter and Taste of Blood. Yeah, thank you guys for watching the video.